With rookie camp in the books, we assess the long-term outlook for the Eagles' top two picks. What kind of weapons can Makai Lemon and Eli Stowers become? Plus, A.J. Brown hosts a camp for youngsters right in our backyard. Hear what a couple of his current teammates have to say about his future. And what should we expect from QB1 Jalen Hurts in 2026? Amid all the changes, we'll turn to the Ringer's Sheil Kapadia for answers. Hey, good to see you. Get on in here. Welcome to Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. With Barrett Brooks, I'm Danny Palmels. There's so much going on in Philly sports. Perhaps you might have missed the Eagles rookies on the field for the first time over the weekend. So, Barrett, aside from the practices, tell us what it's like getting used to a whole new city and finding a place to live, just simply as that.
Just little things, you know, you fly in and all of a sudden you get off the plane and you get in your car and you're going down. Well, you're not getting in your car; they're driving you to the practice facility, and you see all these cars parked in the middle of the highway. I mean, the middle of the street. They're like, "What is this?" They're parked in the middle of the street. People don't say hi to you. You say hi to them. They may look like, "What do you mean? What's up?" It's just a whole different culture shock here in Philadelphia. But I tell you what, they're gonna love it here. Once you win the power of the fans, you'll have it forever.
The Philly experience, one of a kind.
No question.
Sure. And here's what Nick Sirianni had to say on Friday about his top two picks, Makai Lemon and Eli Stowers.
Both of those guys that did a nice job today, did a nice job in meetings, being able to answer questions both in position meetings and in offensive meetings. And yeah, like I said, just like, you know, you are, we're looking forward to getting to know them better and, you know, looking forward to continuing to see them grow as players. And that's our job as coaches, is to develop these guys to help them reach another level as a player. And so that's what we're working on right now, you know, with that and with all the guys right now.
That brings us to our three-point stance presented by Toyota. Stance number one, the future is bright for Makai Lemon and Eli Stowers. So, Barrett, they were the best receiver and tight ends in college football, respectively. How high is the ceiling for these guys?
It's extremely high. You think about the athletic talent that you have in Eli Stowers, and then you just look at the sheer will to be great that you have with Lemon. I mean, just that alone. Lemon wants to be the best player on the field, so he's going to work accordingly. I mean, you talk about his route running, how he creates separation, his toughness, his way he uses his body to catch the ball, catches his hands, uses his hands to catch the ball, uses his body to get in great passing and receiving positions. He's the total package. I can't wait to see this guy first time in the preseason. I mean, I hope he plays the preseason. Usually starters don't. Yes, I am saying he'll be a starter. They don't play, but you might have to get him out there just a little bit just to show Philadelphia what he has. Then you look at Eli Stowers. This guy, I mean, his measurables alone, I know everybody want to stop talking about his measurables, but man, to jump out the gym like that, a 45-inch vertical,
yeah.
Come on, that's unreal, and I mean, his ability to go out there, and he's a quarterback, he knows how to sit in with zones and then, run past man to man, all that stuff, and he uses his quarterback background. It's going to be amazing, but they've got a lot to learn. They got to learn the speed of the game, but these guys were going to do what it takes to put in the work to be great. Especially Lemon. He's going to do whatever it takes to be the best player on the field. So, of course, he's going to go in there and just eat things up. He's going to be in their hip pocket all day. Coach, will we do this? Why we do that? Hey, Smitty, why is this happening? Why do we do this? That's how you become great, asking all those little questions. And like I said, Stowers going to have a little bit that, he's got to learn from the guys that know how to block. He hasn't blocked. He wasn't asked to block. He went from being a quarterback and not getting hit with a red jersey to becoming a great tight end to now being able to be a guy that's multifaceted. You got to block and be a pass catcher tight end. Those are all things you got to work through, and let alone learning the offense between the two of them.
Yeah, time to be a sponge for those guys and soak up whatever they can for sure. Let's get to stance two. Howie Roseman gets deals done. ESPN unveiled the behind-the-scenes draft special titled "The Pick Is In." Here's a look at Howie working the phones with the Cowboys to move up and secure Makai Lemon.
He's trying to call me? I tell him I'm calling him. Hello? Howie? Howie?
Yes.
Hey, this is Steven. How you doing, man?
Today, 8:37.
Our seventh next year? We're good. No, we don't want to. We're already giving up picks for this year. We're out of picks. But anyway, we for sure do it for the 2 4s.
You good?
I'll throw you a next year's 7.
Okay, we got a deal.
We got a deal.
How about it? That
Yeah.
was very interesting.
Right,
Like they were
right.
happy to hear from Howie, to see what he had to say.
Right.
Barrett, what do you think of Howie doing deals with the Cowboys specifically?
Well, I mean, he wasn't just going in and fleecing them. You know, he understood that, you know, they needed to jump up to get, you know, Lemon. I mean, he's a top 10 pick, and they were able to get him at pick number 20 because they made a deal with Dallas. But, you know, you look at Dallas, at the time they had a 1, they had a 3, they had a 4, and they had a 7. They needed those 2 picks in the draft, or else they'd have, what, four draft picks for this draft? So the 2, you know, they scratch each other back. You know, they got 2 4s for it, and they used those 2 4s accordingly. They got Devin Moore from Florida, really good cornerback, and then they got an edge rusher from Alabama, Overton. So they used them accordingly. And I'll tell you what, Dallas knows how to draft. I mean, they definitely know how to draft. You know, they went and got Caleb Downs, the best safety, probably the best player in this draft, you know, one of the best players in the draft. So they draft very well. You know, you look at their roster, offense looks amazing. Now they're starting to get to the defensive side of the ball. So they're going to be pretty good this year. But, you know, it's not like Howie just went in and fleeced them. Yes, they jumped up to get a great player, a top 10 pick at Lemon, but also they scratched their back too as they gave him 2 4s because they didn't have a lot of draft picks at all. They traded, like you said, they traded all of them away.
Yeah, even in the draft, they traded with the Eagles for Devontae Smith. I think they drafted
Same
Michael
thing.
Parsons
Yep.
that year.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let's get to stance number 3. The A.J. Brown trade countdown is on, folks. Over the weekend, Brown held his annual youth football camp in Allentown. While he did not talk to the media, Brown expressed his love to the campers in attendance. It's been reported that Brown is likely to be shipped to the Patriots after June 1st for salary cap reasons. Here are a couple of his current teammates on what's to come for number 11.
You know, pretty often still. Obviously, he's a great teammate, great friend of mine. So nothing will change, you know, the way I think about AJ. But, you know, obviously it's a business, and, you know, everybody's got to do what's best for them. And, you know, whatever happens, you know, he'll always be a close friend of mine. And yeah, we'll see what happens in the next few months.
If AJ's moved on, how ready are you to be that unquestioned top guy?
I got a job to go out there to do, so I plan on doing it.
Okay, Barrett, sounds like his teammates know what's coming and have kind of moved on mentally. Have you moved on yet?
I finally moved on. In fact, I moved on, you know, right after the first pick. You know, I moved on. And then not because Lemon, they drafted him to take over for AJ. That's totally not what it is. But for them to go and you know, just the amount of things they have going on and working out, he just can't be here, you know, and I don't think I know AJ doesn't want to be here. So why keep him here, you know, and it's almost like he's a prisoner. No, let him go. Let him, you know, go out and get what he wants. But it's all about what do they deserve? What are they going to get in kickback from him? That's going to be the biggest thing. But AJ, you know, his time was well here, you know, and I love AJ. I mean, he's a great player. He's a top 5 receiver, but his service will be somewhere else, you know. But it just goes to show how the NFL is. That's why it says NFL stands for not for long.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you know, it's been this way since I was in the league, and it's still the way now. The ink's not even dry yet, and they're trying to replace you with somebody bigger, stronger, faster, and cheaper than you are. I mean, as soon as you sign that contract, they're bringing somebody in to try to replace you. So that's just the nature of the business. It is what it is.
Hey, back on Birds Huddle, time to turn to the experts presented by Carrier. And we bring in our pal, Mr. Sheil Kapadia from The Ringer. He hosts the Ringer NFL Show podcast and the Phillies Special podcast. How you feeling, Sheil?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Been a busy couple of weeks on the Philly sports landscape, sir. How you holding up?
It's like sports overload. I mean, you guys
Right.
love sports. I love sports, but these are long nights. I feel like I'm playing. You can't go to bed right away after these games, but what could be better? You know, these teams in the playoffs, stuff happening with the Phillies, and as you know, Eagle season never really ends.
Yeah, you're so jacked up. You can't go to sleep right away. You got to get up early the next morning. It is definitely a business decision for sure. And with the draft complete and the bulk of the offseason over, my first question to you, Sheil, did the Eagles get better? The biggest move is the trade for edge rusher Jonathan Grenard. We expect A.J. Brown to be dealt next month. So how is this team shaping up with other potential contenders around the league?
Did they get better? I can't say they got better when you're probably going to lose A.J. Brown, who Barrett just said it, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. So on paper, I can't quite get there with just is the roster better than it was last season? Now, I think the defense is going to be really good. I love that Grenard trade. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL. So they're on that list of contenders. You know, if I go through the NFC right now and I say, who's going to make it to the Super Bowl? Seahawks, Rams, they're probably at the top there. But then you've got this next tier, Eagles, Lions, there's probably some other teams in there. So they've got a shot. And as we know, we followed this team for a while. There was a time many years ago where you said you go into seasons and they didn't have a shot. They got a shot this season for sure.
Well, absolutely. I think they got a shot. But, hey, let me ask you this, and this might be the most important question. So what do you think we see from Jalen Hurts this season?
All right, here's what I want to see from Jalen Hurts. Let's have realistic expectations, okay, because they are changing offensive scheme, offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, 2 new wide receivers. Let's keep all that in mind in September. I don't know that September he's going to be coming out throwing for 300 yards every game
right.
and they're going to be scoring 30 points a game. I want to see gradual progress where we get to a point, guys, where we get to November, we get to Thanksgiving, and we say, oh, okay, things seem to be clicking now at the right time, and they've got a chance to continually improve and be at the right spot going into the postseason. So those, I feel like we got to keep those expectations realistic. That's the type of season I think you can hope for out of Jalen Hurts.
Can Sean Mannion be the guy, though, Sheil, who gets this offense going once again? Frank Reich is not coming back through that door. What do you think?
You know, Sean, I was thinking about this with Sean Mannion. Like 6 months ago, if we did a poll of the diehard Eagles fans, hey, do you know who Sean Mannion is? I mean, almost everybody's saying no. We might be saying no. I didn't know that much about him until maybe 2 months ago. And now he's one of the most important people in Philadelphia sports. So I will tell you this. I have heard great things about the guy. I think sometimes you have to take a chance on a guy who doesn't necessarily have that great experience, hasn't done the job before. We've seen them do that in the past, and they've had success, even going all the way back to Andy Reid when he was a relative unknown. So I think you had to find somebody who you take a shot on, who has a chance to be a really great play caller, a really great designer, a really great schemer, because we all know this Eagles offense, it wasn't modernized in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And so my expectations are pretty high, but let's be honest, he is an unknown, and we don't know what we're getting from him until after they start playing some games here.
Absolutely. But do you think there's a chase that the Eagles are selling at the right time for A.J. Brown?
You know, I don't know what the right time is. I think what happened was, there's been reports even last season he wanted to be traded during the season. And so I think they probably had a conversation with him at that time and said, hey, AJ, we're trying to defend as Super Bowl champs here. Okay, we know you're unhappy. Stick with us. Let's play it out through the rest of the year. If you're still unhappy at the rest of the year, then we'll talk to some teams. And it really feels like, guys, that's what has happened here. And so I don't know if it's the right time. I like holding on to great players, but I also understand when a guy is that unhappy and he's not going to be, kind of the best version of himself, which I think was the case last year, I understand.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is the haul? What do you think they get for AJ?
Yeah, I think, you've seen the reports and they start to trickle out a little bit. They can't announce anything until June. It's going to start with the first-round pick. Now, is that a 2028 first-round pick or a 2027 first-round pick? It sort of feels like everybody loves this draft next year and that the Patriots might not be willing to give up that 2027 first. So maybe it's a 2028 first, where if you're a fan, you're saying, I'm losing A.J. Brown, I'm getting nothing to show for it for 2 years. So I think there's got to be something else in that package. I think there's got to be maybe a day 2 pick in 2027. And keep an eye on the incentive structure. Is there something where, hey, if he has maybe 1,200 yards next year, now it bumps from a third to a second, something like that. Because when you have future draft picks, you're able to play around with stuff like that a little bit. So I would say a first and then something else that maybe gets sooner than 2028.
Now, Sheil, football season is months away. We're in the thick of the playoff race for a couple of Philly sports teams. Are we getting series wins for the Flyers over the Hurricanes and Sixers over the Knicks? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, the Flyers, that first game scared me a little bit. I thought maybe they had a chance to go on a run, but that is a very good Hurricanes team. So I kind of think Flyers lose this round, but we end the season saying, hey, they exceeded expectations. We feel good about it. The Sixers, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think the Sixers have a real chance here. I'm going Sixers and 6. I think they split in New York. They come back to Philly. They split there. And then Tyrese Maxey, Game 5, Madison Square Garden, everyone watching. He puts up a 40-piece. They come back to Philly, and they close it out. So I just changed. I tried to look professional. I had my Sixers shirt on earlier. I said, let me throw on something professional for the show. But, yeah, I'm feeling the Sixers in this series against the Knicks.
I got some chills about that.
Sir.
But my boy being specific, 40-piece for Tyrese Maxey. He is Sheil Kapadia from The Ringer and host of The Ringer's Philly Special podcast. Thanks so much for your time, Sheil. Always appreciate you.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.